Get On My Level is recognized as the premier Canadian Melee tournament, boasting both the highest number of attendees and the highest level of Melee gameplay for any event in the region. Starting out as a Canadian qualifier for MLG Anaheim back in 2014, we saw HBox, Mango, and M2K duke it out for first in a classic Five Gods era battle. Mango swept through the bracket to defeat his fellow gods, dropping only 2 games in grand finals to HBox. 2015 saw the return of only one god, Hungrybox, who similarly to Mango dropped only 2 games in grand finals to win the tournament. Though Hack's money nearly reset the bracket against the Clutch god, a misplaced up air led to an offstage reversal where Hungrybox closed out the set before the 20XX Fox could steal game 5. 2016 went down as a year to remember, a tournament people still talk about to this day. Leffen, after missing out on competition for months due to visa issues, beat all 4 gods in attendance, reaffirming his place as the God Slayer with a 3-2 win over M2K, a 3-1 win over Armada, a 3-2 win over HBox, and finally a 3-1 win over Mango, who's fresh off another famous losers run. Mango fell to Westballs before top 8, only to run through losers, beating Wizrobe 3-0, Shroom 3-1, Armada 3-1, Lucky 3-1, and HBox 3-1. This tournament was also the first time many players recognized the eventual Canadian mainstay, None, as he upset M2K in the flashiest way possible to a roaring Canadian approval. 2017 saw a decrease in top talent, but Leffen polished his crown by winning back-to-back GOMLs, defeating HBox 3-1 in winners finals and again 3-2 in grands. GOML 2018 was the year for upsets, as Moki defeated Ice to make it out of pools, Hyper defeated Zane in pools only for Zane to make a monstrous losers run, and most notably Axe defeated M2K. Zane's losers run included wins on Crunch, None, Shroomed, Moki, and SFAB before falling Axe 1-3 for a respectable 5th place finish. Hungrybox emerged as the tournament champion, but Plup did put up a fight by taking their winners final set before losing back-to-back sets in grands. The most recent in-person iteration of GOML all the way back in 2019 had both a large player attendance and a wide variety of talent, as it saw players competing for both a first place finish and a summit qualifier spot. The Canadians were happy to see their countrymen perform well as Moki upset KJH and took HBox to game 5 before speedrunning his way through losers and hitting some absolutely insane combos. Grand Finals also raised some eyebrows as Mango, who had not won a tournament in 2 years, was sitting pretty in winner's side of Grands only to see a yellow Pikachu next to his Falco on the character select screen. His opponent Axe dropped into losers in winners round 2, falling to Swedish Delight. Axe then won 7 sets in a row over some of the best players in the world, tearing through losers bracket to make it to the last set of the tournament. 3-2 over Westballs, 3-1 over Mateo, 3-2 over S2J, 3-1 over Zane, 3-2 over Wizrobe, and 3-1 over Leffen before falling in a Game 5 slobber knocker to Mango for 2nd place. Despite not reigning victorious over Mango, the ever-positive AZ native displayed an absolute class act of what it meant to be a good sport while still competing at the highest level. Looking back at this and his Genesis performance earlier in the year, perfectly foreshadow Axe's eventual summit win just a couple months later. With the Melee landscape looking much different today than when the last in-person GOML took place, the competition we will be seeing this weekend should be just as exciting and surprising as the illustrious history of GOML itself. With this being the biggest in-person Canadian major, there are many Canadian players in attendance. Here are the countrymen you should be looking out for. Toronto Fox Ryan Ford has been a threat at majors both at home and abroad since the birth of the SSBM Top 100, being ranked as high as 15th in 2013 and 71st in the most recent 2019 MPGR. While he has struggled domestically against newer Canadians such as Zuppy, Moki, and Sudsei, everyone has known the name Ryan Ford for years now. It will be interesting to see him compete against the new blood from America. Probably the most recent rising Canadian player, Zuppy has been making waves in the post-lockdown era of Smash. Despite a slow start to the year with a 33rd placement at Genesis 8, he immediately bounced back, placing 2nd at the Pre-Function nightclub, beating Mont Money, Jojo, Kem, Crudo, and resetting grands against Tusei. Zuppy also placed 9th at the Function 2, beating Aklo and Salt. 2nd at Pitch Smash Smashable Tour Edition, only losing to Moki, and most recently taking 17th at Battle of BC 4, beating Chango and Vish. The Box Fox will be wanting to defend his town and country from the ever-growing list of visiting top talent. Despite a lack of in-person attendance, Sunsei has shown that he has become one of Canada's elite, with solid placements across the slew of online tournaments he has entered. Participating in many TMTs, he most notably placed first at GMO Spring Edition 2022, beating Far, BBB twice, and Kadoran twice. In person, he scored a 5th place finish at Seattle Regional Emerald City X, beating Chango and Nickam with it. And at the recent Battle of BC4, he placed a respectable 7th, beating Yingli, Marco, Lucky, and SUJ. Traveling from Alberta to Ontario, one could assume the Toronto crowd will be cheering on the Fox as he fends off the foreign talent. Twitter clips like nothing you've ever seen, impressive losers runs at the last 3 tournaments, a notorious storied history with GOML itself, and his former sponsor being the team that puts this event on. All of this culminates into high expectations for Ontario Fox Moki as he goes into the event. In 2018, Moki upset Ice 3-1 in pools, only to face M2K and Zane in back-to-back sets. In 2019, a semi-retired Moki decided to put Canada on the map. With a 3-2 win over KJH in a Game 5 heartbreaker set against HBox, He then tore through losers bracket, beating Lucky 3-2 and upsetting Plup 3-1 with a Moki wall jump shine that left onlookers with their jaws on the floor, only then to fall to Wizrobe 3-1 for respectable 7th place. Recently, the Canadian Fox has continued his trend of making eyebrow-raising losers runs. At Genesis, after losing in pools to Eggy, Moki went on a 7-set losers run where he beat the likes of Bot Money, Wally, Dark Atma, Suff, S2J, and KGH before falling to Kadoran for 13th. Moki went on to have another impressive 8-set winning streak, which included notable wins over Foxy Grandpa, IBDW, Skurzo, Zamu, Pipsqueak, and Slug, finally losing to Ginger in grand finals for 2nd. Finally, at Battle of BC, while not as notorious as his losers runs at Genesis and the Function 2, Moki fell to S2J in top 64, then beat Connect 4 Master, Elliot, and SFAT before falling to AMSA for 7th. Perhaps this will finally be the bracket where he can translate his skill from losers to winners. It might just be a Canadian trait to perform extremely well on home turf, but before Moki's signature losers runs, Nunn was sponsored by Canadian organization EMG and had recently moved to Toronto in 2016. In winners, he lost to German Fox, Ice. Then Nunn beat Vanitas, Rona Zora, Pupuyu, Hugs, and most notably M2K for 7th place. In 2022, the Electric Falcon has been putting up solid results and taking notable wins in the process. During his 4th place Genesis run, he achieved victory over Azel, KJH, Magi, and Hungrybox to make winner side top 8. He would then lose to new age players Jmook and Cody, but he did manage to pick up a win on Japanese Yoshi, AMSA. Just a week later, the Falcon would put up another solid performance, placing 9th at Pound, beating Axe and Dreffen, only to follow up with a 7th place finish at Summit, where he beat Laud and Frenzy. With the Falcon having some time to recuperate before the major, we might see a revitalized Nunn take some impressive wins. Our friends from overseas. Whether it's from the Atlantic or the Pacific, it seems that GOML has garnished a variety of talent from outside North America. Notably, the United Kingdom will be sending their top talent to face off against their counterparts. While most people tend to think of Frenzy when it comes to European Falcos, Fatino has been giving the wide array of English Melee players trouble, placing highly at Myth 2 and Nang. They may not be at the same level as the other 2 English Spacey players in attendance, but his bird is nothing to scoff at. Passing up Fatino in rankings, English Puff Kingu has been participating in a wide variety of online and in-person tournaments throughout Europe, placing 5th at the 2 most recent Giga Swaps, 3rd at Fat Frogs, 2nd at Nang, Upon Reflection, and 4th at the Vault. Kingu has become one of the faces to represent European Puffs alongside Solo Battle. Having averaged 1 tournament a month overseas, Max has solidified his number 3 spots in the United Kingdom, placing highly at every tournament. Notably rocking the Sheik icon on the character select screen, he is one of only 2 Sheiks in the United Kingdom's top 20. It will be interesting to see how the Spacey practice back in the UK will translate against the North American competitors. Frenzy may as well be the most notable Falco throughout Europe, a fact that is only further reinforced with his Summit campaign and his wins against Mech, Salt, and Blue at the aforementioned tournament. Domestically, he has traded subs with all of the United Kingdom's best, and he does it with his signature style. Seeing how well he did against Falcon at Summit, it will be interesting to see if he gets to play Nunn, S2J, or Wizzy. The last time Professor Pro lost a tournament in the UK was Short Hop Pair 11, where he placed 2nd to Frenzy back in December of 2021. To say that this Fox is the face of English Melee and one of the top Foxes known through Europe is an understatement. In 2022, he has dropped only 4 sets, and for every person he has dropped a set to, he has managed to win the run back time and time again. Seeing another top Fox from Europe perform on North American soil will be just as much of a treat as it has been in the past. For Australian Fox Josh Mann, GOML will mark the end of his trip across the Pacific. His trip has been quite fruitful, as we have gotten the privilege to watch an international player flourish. Sora has managed to write up quite the resume despite the challenges he has faced along the way. Starting out in a rough spot, placing 65th at Genesis 8, he immediately bounced back, placing 17th at Pound, beating Calavar. He immediately bounced back, placing 17th at Pound, beating out Calavar, only to place 2nd at Emerald City X, beating out West Coast talent like Elliot, Bladewise, Sunsei, and Fat Goku. However, despite this, he was faced with another obstacle, having to quarantine during Summit 13, missing out on days 2 and 3. Since then, however, he has attended multiple weeklies in SoCal, such as Lawless Melee 9 and 10, and the New Mang 1 and 2. He has also traveled to Canada once for Battle of BC 4. During his stay, he has racked up wins on Calmaster, Nut, Null, Aura, Zealot, Lucky, Suff, Kadoran, and most recently, S2J. He has all the makings of a top 30 player at this moment, and seeing him give one last performance at GOML before returning home to participate in Australian major Phantom will be the perfect send-off. As GOML is slated to have close to 500 attendees, the field of top-level talent and attendance has risen significantly, and you can expect all of these players will be looking to take notable wins at this tournament. Dreffin could have quite possibly the longest top player resume in existence. The Sheik main has shown his ability to perform well no matter the era. Recently he has dipped below his once top 50 placements, having taken only a few notable wins in his 3 tournaments in 2022, but he has shown his willingness to grind tournaments online, participating in salt mines and TMTs, as well as the fundraising event in Chillin' We Trust. The Sheik has always seemed to bounce back into relevancy at a moment's notice, and we can see that once again this weekend. This New Jersey Peach main B-Bats has risen to prominence as of late by taking regional events like Creed over Toussaint and J-Flex, and by participating in every Tri-State Weekly you can imagine. In the last 2 months alone, they have attended 14 tournaments, including the Major Pound and the pair of regionals, the Function 2 and Creed. The Peach will be just one of a few Tri-State competitors in attendance, and you can be sure the Toronto crowd will welcome them just as New York City welcomes Zuppy and Moki at the Function 2. When looking at both Wally and B-Bats, parallels can be drawn. Both New Jersey Peaches attended quite a lot of regional locals and occasionally dip outside their respective regions. However, in their head-to-head, Wally has taken the crown with a 4-1 set count in offline tournaments. Most recently playing at New Jersey Fight Night, which Wally ended up winning. They will both be invading Toronto along with Toussaint and Cody to represent Tri-State. One of many SoCal spacies in attendance, Smash Daddy has risen back to his rank as one of the top foxes within region, having impressive placements at Lawless Melee, Melee at Vertigo West, and still managing to travel out of state to Hold That L, where he placed 4th. At Hold That L, Smash Daddy went on quite the loser's run, beating Lord English, No Fluxes, Kuyashi, Shabo, and The Real Thing. He also attended CEO, where he placed a respectable 9th, beating Rising Star Vu. Seeing him attend outside the US may pose some new challenges, however we could see the Fox overcome the other competitors. Chicago's resident number 1 player, Skurzo, has had quite the 2022. He has traveled around the East Coast a ton this year while still managing dominance domestically. Skurzo has managed to place top 3 at every Melee, Tri-Point Smash, or HPT scrims. Outside of these events, Skurzo still found consistent success with a 7th place finish at the Nightclub VIP, beating JoJo and Smuckers, 33rd at Pound, 13th at Low Tide City, 7th at the Function 2, beating SA Nick, J-Flex, and Zuppy, 5th at Hometown Regional Hold That L, beating fellow Midwestern talent 300 and Kuyashi, and most recently 9th at CEO. The Fox will be looking to increase the number of notable wins on his resume at GOML. Another SoCal Fox in attendance, Null has made waves in SoCal, frequently making top 8 at locals such as Melee at Vertigo West, Lawless Melee, and the new Mang. This has yet to translate to a bigger tournament, as his best placement at a major was 17th at Battle of BC, though he did manage to beat Aura and had a notable Game 5 loss to Hungrybox before losing to Canadian Falco Elliott. Hopefully the Fox will find the success he has been looking for at this tournament. These players will have eyes on them as they compete this weekend, either due to consistency or inconsistency in some cases, or because we have yet to see how well they can do on a stage this big. NYC resident Puff Toussaint has had much success within region, winning 6 out of 7 nightclubs this year and placing 5th at Nightclub VIP, beating Skurzo, Wally, and Slox. At his only major Battle of BC, he was upset early by BZ and lost to Eddie Mexico for 17th. With this being closer to his hometown, we could finally see him translate his East Coast wins to national or international wins. Minnesota's number 1, Ben, rose to prominence in the online era of Smash, most notably winning a tournament over Xbox. At his only major attendance this year, Genesis 8, we saw him take a notable win over SCJ. However, he has also racked up wins on Slowking, Wally, Free Palestine, Skurzo, Zamu, J-Flex, and Ginger throughout his regional attendance. We will be hoping to see a breakout performance for this up-and-coming Sheik, leaving a trail of spacies in his path. One of the other veterans in attendance, Lucky, has been playing this game for 15 years and has performed at top level throughout most of those years. Most known for being one of Mango's longtime friends and a staple of top-level Melee, within region, he recently has struggled against other veterans such as S2J and Fiction, as well as new blood like Sunsei, Kadoran, Smash Daddy, and Josh Man. He has struggled at the 2 majors he has attended, placing 49th at Genesis, losing to Calavar and Dawson, and while he did pick up a win on Rising Star, Zuppy, he did lose to Zane and Sunsei for 13th at Battle of BC. Recently picking up Falco for specific matchups, KJH has shown his improvement with both mains, placing 17th at Genesis, beating YCZ, the Swooper, and Fizzwiggle before losing to Nun and Moki. He also notably placed quite low, 33rd at the Function 2, before placing a year-high 5th at CEO, beating HBox before losing to a pair of Foxes in Chem and Panda. We could see this Falco practice come to fruition and be on par with his Fox at GOML this weekend. Since rankings have been a thing, SUJ has been in the top 20. And in SoCal, the Falcon has been ranked in the top 15 since 2009. With the resurgence in local attendance and his high placing in one of the strongest regions in the world, he has shown signs of greatness at his major performances, beating players like Eddie Mexico and Melky. Still waiting for the top 8 performance, GOML could see his return of the peaks we once saw as he was a top 8 mainstay. Let me tell you something that might seem a little controversial. Ginger could be the best Falco in the world in 2022. Alright, now before you go up in arms, go delete your comment. I already know what you're gonna say. Mango Nation? Fiction better? Magi the new goddess? Alright. Now that that's covered, let me tell you Ginger's resume. Wins on Bones, Slowking, Panda, Aura, Wally, Swift, Zuppy, Zamu, Crudo, Slug, Moki, and Plup. First place at the Function 2, Super Me 2, Xanadu Legends, second at Minnesota Monthly Melee, and 9th at Genesis. We're all excited to see this trend continue at GOML this year, and watch how high this Falco can soar. Hey look, we've all heard the narrative surrounding the kid. He's washed, he can't keep up with the Slippy kid, he's getting 30'd by H-Box. If you want any of that, go to Twitter, or post or comment on r/MashBros. I'm here to tell you the kid has hope. This is Mango we're talking about. 7-set losers run at Genesis Mango. Need I remind you about Summit 12 or 11? You want to go back even further? SmashCon 2017 to get on my level 2019, he was in a drought with 0 tournaments under his belt. And what tournament are we heading into this weekend? You see where I'm heading? Okay, cool. Now remember, never count out the kid. Top 8 staples. The following players have all shown their dominance within 2022, and you can expect them to continue to do so this weekend. Juan de Biedma, or Hungrybox, is probably one, if not the most recognizable faces in Melee, and for good reason. This man was ranked number 1 in the world for 3 years straight, and despite dipping in comparison to some of his newer peers, he still manages to find top 8 time and time again. Be that as it may, you cannot say that he isn't trying. Whether it's TMT, East Coast Friday, Salt Mine, or an in-person major or regional, this man will always be seen with a GameCube controller in his hands. While Clutch God might struggle against certain Foxes and a certain Marth, his dominance over the field has been shown throughout time. And be it through winners or losers, we can expect him to continue this trend at GOML. Look, at this point you've already heard what I'm about to say. The quickest rise in Melee history, top 5 at every tournament he's played in this year, wins on Joshman, Kadoran, Laud, Nun, Plup, Cody, Zane, and Leffen. Jmook continues to surprise and solidify his spot at the top with every tournament he attends. He has by far the most eyebrow-raising, jaw-dropping, whatever description you want, performance in 2022. While he did seem lost against fellow attendee AMSA in the Yoshi matchup, we cannot forget this man got 6-1 by Zane only to beat him at the next tournament he attended. We could very well see a completely different narrative, and who knows, the sheep might take home the cake. Yoshi's Everywhere can rejoice, as the chosen one is and will continue to grace us with his presence. Japan's longtime number 1 AMSA has yet to bring home a trophy, but he has gotten pretty darn close. 5th at Genesis, 3rd at Pound, 4th at Battle BC4. The journeyman has made the trip to North America 3 other times and has parked himself right along with the likes of Jmook, Plup, and Cody for top 5 contenders. He may struggle against certain matchups like Falcon and Peach and certain players like Zane and Leffen, but let this not deter you from cheering on AMSA to the first place finish we all know he's capable of attaining. After a relatively back and forth first quarter of the year, which saw Cody IBDW Schwab take home multiple online tournaments as well as losses to the likes of the Swooper, Crudo, Aklo, Kadoran, and Moki, we saw him show absolute dominance at Summit, only going Game 5 in Grand Finals with Plup. So the question is, which Cody will we see? With his month-long hiatus from both online and offline tournaments, we could see him once again demonstrate why he is in every top 5 debate this year. Of the 4 tournaments Zane has attended this year, he has won 2 of them. Let that sink in for a second. That's a 50% win rate for majors. Something that only the likes of Armada, Mango, and H-Box have seen in years past. Starting off the year strong with back-to-back wins at Genesis and Pound, we've seen the Marth bleed at Summit and Battle of BC, losing to 3 Sheiks, those being Plup, Jmook, and Leffen, as well as a single loss to fellow MDVA player Laud. Earlier this year, Zane stated that he wanted to win every tournament he attended, and we can be sure that GOML will be no different, as we see how he adjusts to the large pool of top players clawing at his ankles.